What's good, hoop heads? Your courtside analyst Tips and Streams is back in the game. On the slate today, breakdowns for the latest NBA matchups set to light up the hardwood. Before we tip off, make sure you slam that subscribe button on our YouTube channel to stay in the loop with all our predictions and top picks. So, let's get started. The first today's prediction is for matchup between New Orleans Pelicans and Charlotte Hornets. In the high-stakes showdown looming between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Charlotte Hornets, the hoop scene is abuzz with forecasts and deep dives. The Pelicans, boasting a solid 14-11 scorecard, are flexing their resilience and steady game, especially highlighted in their recent slam dunk against the Minnesota Timberwolves. This win shines a spotlight on their ability to go toe-to-toe with the league's heavyweights. Riding on the wave of standout plays from C.J. McCollum, Jonas Valanciunas, and Brandon Ingram, the Pelicans are syncing up beautifully, though Zion Williamson's fitness level is key to their playoff dreams. Meanwhile, the Charlotte Hornets, sitting at a 7-15 record, are dribbling through rough terrain. LaMelo Ball's absence is a heavy blow, and despite Terry Rozier's impressive hustle, the team is scrambling to hit its stride. They're struggling defensively and lack the offensive firepower to flip the script in their favor. A pivotal factor in this matchup is the Hornets' bench depth taking a hit with LaMelo Ball and Cody Martin sidelined, and the status of P.J. Washington and Mark Williams hanging in the balance. This stacks up against the Pelicans, who are missing Larry Nance Jr. and Matt Ryan, and Zion Williamson's playtime is a question mark. Peering into their one-on-one history, the Pelicans have been ruling the roost in recent showdowns, even pulling off a full sweep last season. The Hornets, though, have shown grit on their home turf, nailing 3 out of their last 5 games at the Spectrum Center. This home court hustle could spell trouble for the Pelicans. All things considered, the Pelicans, with their sharper form, and the Hornets grappling with injuries, seem poised to take the lead. Their scoring finesse and more stable lineup hand them a notable edge. The Hornets' home advantage might stir the pot, but the Pelicans' recent track record and face-offs point to them as the likely victors to beat the spread and snag the win. To wrap it up, eyeing the current form of both squads, the odds tilt in favor of the New Orleans Pelicans clinching the victory and covering the spread. Their robust gameplay, coupled with the Hornets' hiccups, especially with key players on the bench, tips the balance towards the Pelicans. I will bet on the New Orleans Pelicans to triumph and beat the 6-point spread. The next prediction is for the match between Detroit Pistons and Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia 76ers, rocking a solid 16-7 record, are gearing up to host the Detroit Pistons, who are in a tough spot with a 21-game slide and a 222 scorecard. This showdown comes hot on the heels of a previous face-off, where the 76ers dunked on the Pistons, nabbing a solid 129-111 win. In that clash, Joel Embiid of the 76ers was on fire, racking up 41 points, snagging 11 rebounds, and dishing out 5 assists. Bojan Bogdanovic tried to keep pace for the Pistons, dropping 33 points. Talking team dynamics and style, the 76ers shine, especially on their home turf. With a 9-3 home game record, they're masters of locking down wins at the Wells Fargo Center. Their offensive game is tight, ranked 4th in points per game, and they bring a high-octane tempo that's a real headache for the Pistons, who are lagging at 23rd in points allowed and can't seem to find their defensive groove. The Pistons are also limping with injuries to key players like Jalen Duren and the iffy status of Marvin Bagley III, putting a dent in their already shaky defense and board control. Peeking at the Pistons' recent games, they're struggling to keep up, especially when facing heavy hitters like the 76ers. They're trailing by an average of over 10 points a game, hinting this rough patch might continue in Philly. Meanwhile, the Sixers are holding their ground, their lineup beefed up by returning key players, boosting their bench depth and overall court impact. Looking back at past games in Philly, the 76ers have a track record of outplaying the Pistons, suggesting they've got a mental edge to match their on-court prowess. This pattern, plus the current state and might of both squads, leans towards a likely win for the Philadelphia 76ers. Wrapping it up, after diving into the stats, injury reports, and past showdowns. The Philadelphia 76ers are the bet to take the win. They've got the upper hand in offensive punch, defensive strength, and the home court advantage, where they've been especially dominant this season. The Pistons' form and injury troubles just skew the odds more towards the 76ers. So my money's on the Philadelphia 76ers to win and beat the 15.5-point spread. The next prediction is for the match between Indiana Pacers and Washington Wizards. The Pacers, boasting a strong 13-9 tally, are storming into this showdown as the league's high flyers, dropping an average of 128.4 points per game. Their sharpshooting prowess is turning heads, sinking shots with a 50.7% field goal precision, a standout stat especially when stacked against the Wizards' defensive fumbles. The Wizards, mired in a rough 320 patch, are the NBA's weakest link defensively, both in points given up and points surrendered per 100 possessions. Their fortress has been anything but, managing just a single triumph on their turf this season. In the recent hustle, the Pacers have flexed their muscle on foreign courts, bagging 4 wins out of 6 road clashes, including impressive takedowns of heavyweights like the Hawks and Heat. The Wizards, on the flip side, are reeling from 15 losses in their latest 16 outings, with their defensive cracks wide open, leaking over 20 points in each of their past 3 matchups. Spotlight on individual hustle, Tyrese Halliburton is tipped to be the Pacers' ace, while Kyle Kuzma is expected to step up big for the Wizards. The betting lines are buzzing with an over-under set at a lofty 257, echoing the Pacers' scoring spree and the Wizards' defensive leaks. The 7.5-point spread is tilting heavily in the Pacers' favor, with the Wizards lagging behind in their recent games. Wrapping it up, the scalies are heavily tipped towards the Indian Pacers, banking on their scoring juggernaut and the Wizards' defensive headaches. The Pacers' field goal finesse and point-piling performances, blended with the Wizards' home turf troubles, point to a likely Indiana triumph. The smart bet: ride with the Indiana Pacers, who are primed to rule the court and clear the spread, thanks to their offensive firepower and the Wizards' defensive stumbles. I'm putting my chips on the Indiana Pacers minus 7.5. For those who don't believe in the Pacers, I suggest playing total points over 257. The next prediction is for the match between Orlando Magic and Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics, soaring high with an impressive 17-5 tally, are set to maximize their home court edge where they've been invincible this season. The Orlando Magic, a squad that demands respect, are flaunting their hoop skills with a strong 16-7 record, a testament to their tenacity and ability to give the Celtics a run for their money. The Magic are turning the court into their show, clinching 11 wins in their last 13 outings. Their latest triumph over the Cavs, with Paolo Banchero leading the charge with a dominating double-double, is a snapshot of their current heat. Their defensive game has been the cornerstone, particularly in crunch time, clamping down on rivals effectively. Meanwhile, the Celtics are showing off a solid game plan, bagging 6 wins in their recent 7 matches. Their win against the Cavs, driven by Jason Tatum's outstanding play, highlights their scoring finesse and sharpshooting, especially beyond the arc. Both squads, however, are tackling key player absences. The Magic miss Markelle Fultz, Wendell Carter Jr., and Kevon Harris, while the Celtics are without Luke Kornet, potentially tipping the game's balance given both teams' depth. Stat-wise, the Celtics' low opponent rim percentage at 57.2% could be a game-changer against the Magic, who've struggled with mid-range and long-distance shots. The Celtics aim to play a well-rounded game, leveraging their three-point accuracy and robust inside defense. In betting trends, the Magic are outdoing predictions with a 16-7 against the spread record, showing their mettle in tough situations. The Celtics, though, with a 10-11 spread record and a shaky 2-7 at home against the spread, have room for improvement. In past face-offs, the Magic often outdid expectations, winning both against the spread and outright, despite being underdogs. Yet, the Celtics' current stride and home advantage make them a tough challenge. This is the third back-to-back game for the Celtics this season. They split the first 2. From a betting perspective, while the Celtics are the favorites, the Magic's recent momentum and the point spread hint at their potential to beat the spread. A low-scoring game is likely, given both teams' defensive focus and the Celtics' slower tempo. In summary, the Celtics, with their consistent play and home turf, are poised for victory. But the Magic's grit and road game prowess make them a solid bet to beat the spread. Prediction: Orlando Magic to cover the spread. My bet's on Orlando Magic +6. The next prediction is for the match between Atlanta Hawks and Toronto Raptors. The Atlanta Hawks, with a 9-14 tally, dazzle with their high-flying offense, averaging a hefty 122.5 points per game, soaring to third in the league. Their sharpshooting is on point, netting 46.7% from the field and 37.3% from downtown. Yet their defensive game is lagging, stuck at 27th in the league's defensive stats. Missing key players like DeAndre Hunter and Jalen Johnson has thinned their front line, affecting their game. Conversely, the Toronto Raptors, sitting at 10-14, showcase a more balanced play style. Their field goal accuracy edges the Hawks at 46.8%, and they rack up 112.8 points per game. The Raptors shine in dishing assists, ranking third in the NBA, but their three-point game needs work, trailing at 27th. Their defense, conceding 114.4 points per game, ranks 19th. In their latest showdown, the Raptors clinched a 135-128 triumph over the Hawks. Toronto's shooting was stellar, hitting 57.5% overall and 52.9% from the three-point line, with Pascal Siakam and Scotty Barnes leading the charge. The Hawks, despite the setback, put up a solid offensive show, spearheaded by Trae Young. Reviewing their recent forms and face-offs, the Raptors appear to have the upper hand, especially with their dominant front-court play and knack for exploiting the Hawks' defensive gaps. Atlanta's thin defense, particularly against teams with formidable big men, might be the game-changer. Given both teams' stats and recent forms, I foresee the Toronto Raptors clinching this one. Their stronger frontcourt and balanced offense-defense approach tilt the scales in their favor. The Hawks will undoubtedly battle fiercely, especially in offense, and might even beat the spread, but the Raptors' ability to target Atlanta's defensive weaknesses should seal their victory. My wager is on the Atlanta Hawks to beat the +3-point spread. Do remember, sports forecasts are tricky and hinge on numerous factors. Staying abreast of the latest team news and stats, particularly regarding injuries, is crucial as game day approaches. The next prediction is for the match between Los Angeles Lakers and San Antonio Spurs. In the upcoming showdown on the hardwood at the Frostbank Center, the Los Angeles Lakers are gearing up to extend their victory lap against the San Antonio Spurs. The Lakers, fueled by a streak of triumphs, are beefing up their stats, a lot of it thanks to the powerhouse pairing of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Their offensive firepower, combined with a rock-solid defense that's been clamping down on rival scorers, gives them a clear leg up. Meanwhile, the Spurs are battling a series of setbacks and defensive woes. Despite the budding brilliance of Victor Wembanyama, their youthful crew is still trying to gel, particularly in building collective experience and shoring up their defense. Their struggle to rein in the scoring of high-octane offenses like the Lakers is a major stumbling block. Looking at the record books, the Lakers have often had the upper hand in their recent bouts with the Spurs, and their current hot streak hints this pattern might roll on. Betting trends and stats further peg the Lakers as the frontrunners in this clash, with their sterling record as road favorites in the spread, beefing up their edge. That said, the final score isn't just a game of numbers and past showdowns. Elements like player injuries and the latest team vibes are key. With LeBron James and Gabe Vincent's participation up in the air for the Lakers, and Charles Bassey sitting out for the Spurs, these factors could sway the rhythm of the game. Factoring all this in, the smart bet leans towards a Los Angeles Lakers win. Their superior offense and defense, coupled with the Spurs' ongoing defensive hurdles, set the Lakers up as the probable winners. The Lakers aren't just expected to grab the win, but also to beat the spread, thanks to their overall team finesse and the Spurs' current struggles. Wrapping up, while the Spurs might throw down a challenge, particularly with Wembanyama's rising influence, the Lakers' current surge and past supremacy in these face-offs suggest they'll be the ones celebrating at the final buzzer. I'm placing my bet on the Los Angeles Lakers and an over 232 in the San Antonio Spurs game. The next prediction is for the match between Houston Rockets and Memphis Grizzlies. The Rockets, sporting a solid 12-9 record, are gearing up to take their game on the road, riding high on a wave of recent successes. Their knack for outplaying the spread, particularly when squaring off against Western Conference rivals, speaks volumes about their grit and ability to step up under pressure. They're spearheaded by Jalen Green's offensive brilliance, who's expected to drop 21 points, snag 3 rebounds, and dish out 4 assists. Alperen Sengun, emerging as a dynamic center this season with averages of 20.5 points, 9.1 rebounds, and 5.6 assists, brings a potent inside game to the Rockets' play. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies, holding a shaky 6-17 record, are battling consistency issues, especially on their home turf with a dismal 110 home record. Their defense, once their rock, now languishes at 26th in opponent points per game. Injuries haven't helped, with key players like Brandon Clark and Steven Adams sidelined, impacting their rim protection and ability to shut down versatile scorers. Desmond Bane has risen as Memphis's top scorer, averaging 24.8 points per game, and could be the spark the Grizzlies need to challenge Houston's weaker three-point defense. In the head-to-head stakes, the Rockets have the upper hand. They've clinched the first 2 encounters this season, demonstrating their prowess on both ends of the court against the Grizzlies. This matchup is a golden chance for the Rockets to complete a sweep of the home-and-home series, leveraging their recent form against Memphis home court woes. Betting-wise, the Rockets are a solid bet against the spread, covering in 13 of their last 17 games, and they've been formidable in their recent Western Conference matchups. The Grizzlies have shown some fight, especially on the road, but their overall season paints a picture of vulnerability. The prediction tilts in favor of the Houston Rockets. They're primed to exploit their current momentum, offensive strength, and Memphis's defensive gaps. The Rockets are not just tipped to win, but also to beat the spread, thanks to their commendable spread record and recent performances against the Grizzlies. As a staunch supporter of Rockets coach Ime Udoka, whom I rate as the top coach in the league, I'm inclined to back the Rockets almost all the time this season. My bet is on the Houston Rockets minus 3.5. The last prediction for today is for the matchup between New York Knicks and Phoenix Suns. The Suns, with their 13-11 record, are dazzling this season. Kevin Durant's return has injected new life into the team. Even at 34, Durant's an unstoppable juggernaut, dropping more than 30 points a game. The Suns' attack is a sight to behold, notching 115.1 points a game, landing them in the league's top 12. On defense, they're holding their own, giving up 113.2 points. Their rebound game is steady, pulling down 44 a game and ranking 16th, while limiting opponents to just 41.7. What really lights up the stats is their three-point precision, sinking a solid 38.2%, the 4th highest in the league. The Knicks, on the other hand, with a 13-10 tally, are facing hurdles, especially on the road. Their latest stumble against the Jazz brought these woes into the spotlight. Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson are the heart of the Knicks, with Randle dominating the last game with 32 points and 12 boards. Averaging 113.1 points, they're neck and neck with the Suns, but their defense is tighter, allowing just 110 points per game, the 6th stingiest in the league. They're shooting 45.6% from the field and nailing 37.7% from downtown. Back-to-back, the Knicks have had a rough time in Phoenix, dropping all 5 of their recent visits, though they did beat the spread once. This history, plus the Suns' solid home play and the Knicks' road struggles, especially against top-tier Western teams, hints at a Suns' upper hand. The odds paint a close battle with a tight score predicted. The Knicks are the underdogs, given a 5.5-point handicap, and the total points expected hover around 230.5. In essence, considering current form, past clashes, and stats, the Suns have a bit of an edge, thanks to their home turf and offensive firepower. The Knicks are scrappy and can surprise on the road, making them a tempting bet against the spread. However, the Suns' overall harmony and recent showings, especially Durant's scoring magic, sway the prediction their way. In the end, I'm putting my chips on the Suns to take it and beat the spread. Their home advantage, offensive might, and the Knicks' recent away game stumbles point to Phoenix as the stronger choice in this electrifying face-off. I'm rooting for the Phoenix Suns, laying 5 points. All right, hoopheads, that's the buzzer for today's predictions. Big thanks for rolling with us. If you're vibing with our picks, slam that subscribe button and get on board. Catch you on the court tomorrow. Peace.